Welcome back. I think I'm pretty lucky. I get to play baseball and have fun doing it, even though I wear glasses. But what if my teammates or coaches or the fans didn't accept me because I wore glasses? I don't know what I'd do because I love baseball so much. I am Grayson Knight, and this is Baseball Podcasts Are Fun. Thankfully, nobody cares that I wear glasses, and that's how it should be. In fact, no one should care if I wore glasses or shaved my head bald or I was a girl. I should be judged on how good of a teammate I am and if I'm a good person. Today, I have a great person on the show at just the right time. I've done my best on the show to include all kinds of people who love the game of baseball, just like me, if they are black or yellow like my banana friends, have one arm like the amazing Tommy Morrissey, female like Addie or Lily, or gay like Anthony Ortiz. If you love baseball and have fun doing it, you're welcome here. Anthony Ortiz grew up loving and playing baseball, then found his people after college. Now in the medical field with my mom, who's an amazing nurse. Anthony, in the Hotlanta Softball League, just loves baseball and softball, and that's good enough for me. Anthony, thank you for being here. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Of
I'm good. Thank you for being here.
course. Thank you for having me.
We've been planning this for a while, but it's finally June.
Yeah, I know.
Mm. So I'm sorry for that long intro, but I need my
It's okay.
listeners to know that when you put a uniform on, nothing else should matter other than that you play hard and are a good teammate. Do you agree with that?
I completely agree.
So from talking to my mom, I know a bit about your background. So she said you were an outfielder, then infielder. I've jumped around too, mostly this season. So which do you prefer?
Right now, my favorite is outfield. I've been playing it since the beginning, and even though I do enjoy the infield, outfield is still my favorite.
Do you pitch? Do you pitch?
I pitched in high school in baseball. I pitched in college in baseball. In softball, it's a bit different. It's slow pitch, so it's just a toss up. I can do it. I do sometimes do it, but I leave that up to the people that are more seasoned for it.
Is infield or outfield more challenging to you?
Um, I would say in baseball, the outfield was a bit more challenging, which I guess is the reason I enjoyed it so much. I do like a challenge. In softball, it's a bit different. The ball gets hit pretty hard,
Yeah.
and the ball's bigger, and I'm still used to using a small glove like I did in baseball. So I try to keep it that way. But I would say in softball, the infield's a bit more challenging. I've been playing it a lot more this season, but it's still, I would say, it's more challenging than the outfield.
Mhm. So I definitely love making diving catches in the outfield, but I also like making barehanded plays at third base, which is where I play now. But
Mhm.
let's take it back a little bit. So where did you grow up and how did you get your start with baseball?
So I grew up in Amherst, Massachusetts. It's a small town on the Western Mass. No one really talks about it much because everybody knows Boston as being the big city of Massachusetts, but it's Western Mass, about 2 hours outside of Boston. I didn't actually start playing baseball until I was 12 years old. So it would have been the last year of Little League for me if I had started when I was 10. And so one of my friends, who eventually became one of my best friends, got me into it. I tried out and got put on the team and loved it ever since.
Mhm. Did you go to any Red Sox games when you were growing up?
Yeah, actually, my very first Red Sox game I went to my senior year of high school. It was like a couple of days before our team had to play the state championship for a high school state championship. And I knew it was like the time to practice and get ready, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity for my first Red Sox game. So that was my first, and I think I've been to about six or seven or eight. I can't really put the number down.
Mm. So last year I went to two Red Sox games. They lost both, but it was a really fun time. All the songs and chants that they sing, it's really cool.
Mhm.
Mm. But I'm a Rays fan, and obviously the Rays are big Red Sox rivals. But are the Red Sox your favorite team?
Yeah, they are. I just grew up watching them. I remember back in 2004, 2007, and like when they finally broke that 80 plus year streak, I was watching it on TV. I had my eyes glued. So they will always be my favorite team. I wish I followed them as much as I used to, but I still think I still keep up in terms of where they are in the rankings, whether they're gonna make it to the World Series. But in terms of players, I couldn't name the 10.
What was fun about baseball that made you want to pursue that?
I would say the challenge of it really led me to continue playing. There was always something new I wanted to do. When I first started, I thought the outfield was, the best position for me to play. And then I realized, hey, you know what? I want to try this pitching thing. So then I started to hone my skills in that. And then I said, hey, let's try infield. So then I started and then eventually I just kind of grew up loving every position, which led me to just become a versatile player. Um, and being a versatile player is good. Just growing up and like trying out for different baseball teams, only because you could just tell your coach, "Hey, put me where I'm needed, and I can help you in any way." So, I,
That's a great answer because my dad always says that when you're trying out for a team, and they ask you where your position, tell them your primary position, but tell them you can play anywhere, just like how I do it. That's a great answer. Thank you for that.
exactly. You're welcome.
So did you play any other sports besides baseball?
Yeah, I did play soccer before I started playing baseball. So that was my primary sport. And then after playing baseball, my friends got me into other sports. I got to play basketball, mostly in a recreational. In high school, I did play football for 2 years. Turns out I'm a little smaller than I should be playing football. But then towards the end of high school, I just focused on baseball and found myself playing all summer, all spring, just trying to hone my skills so that eventually when I went to college, I could play there too.
Mhm. So I did rec basketball over the winter. I'm not good at it at all, but I mean it's good just to stay healthy, I guess.
Yeah, it's great cardio, and that's why I enjoy playing it. At least it keeps me in shape.
Mhm. Are you fast?
Um, my my friends tell me I am. I think I'm decent speed, but yeah, I can get up there in speed if I needed
Well,
to.
you must be because you play the outfield.
Yeah, and in our league, you're rated. When you get rated in our league, they ask you running questions like how fast. And unfortunately, I'm fast enough to have all of them. So it's a good thing, it's a blessing, but it's also a curse when it comes to your rating in the softball league around here.
Mhm. So when you got to high school, which is about a year away from me, you didn't know how to answer the coach's question about which position you played more easily because you played so many. So did
Mhm.
that help you make the team more easily?
It actually did. In high school, it was a little different. I really didn't know how to answer because I didn't know where I shine the most because I did play outfield for a while, and then I did play infield for a while prior to getting to high school. So I was like, well, which one am I better at? And I personally couldn't tell him because I didn't really know. Um, so the beginning of high school was like my freshman year was a bit of a struggle because I didn't know where I wanted to be, and he didn't know where he wanted to put me. So I did play multiple positions, but then when my second year came, I was able to like just tone it down to, hey, I can play where you want me, but it looks like you need some pitchers. So I started working on my pitching. That's when I got better at it. And then I enjoyed catching as well. So I said, hey, looks like you need a catcher. So let me get better at that.
Mhm.
So I would say the beginning of high school was harder than it was towards the end of high school. But at the end of high school, I actually ended up playing middle infield um, the entire season.
So that's kind of like me. I'm always willing to do anything. I think I've caught a game once in my life. My dad was a catcher when he played baseball. He always tries to encourage me, but I'm like I don't want to. And it's like the only position I can't play, but
I
I'm willing to.
I think your dad may agree, but there's no better feeling than throwing someone out at second base or third base trying to steal on you.
Mhm. So my dad always says that I should raise my hand to fill any spot on the field because that maybe how I make varsity as freshman.
Mhm. I
Do you
would
agree with
completely
that?
agree. I do. I completely agree.
Can you remember what some of your biggest challenges were as a high school player? I'm looking forward to getting better as I play older kids.
Yeah, so the biggest challenge that I ran into was so a lot of these kids that I ended up playing with came from similar schools. So I came from a different school. We all went to like middle school together, but most of them went to the same school. So they were playing together a lot. So it's a lot, it's like I want to say it's a lot of kind of like red tape. But it was like the fitting in part for me was a bit different because I didn't know many of the kids, and so in order to like gel with them and get to know them as players and being able to play with them, that was probably the more difficult part for me. um I guess like I just wasn't part of the clique, because there was a lot of that. People just knew each other and played each other and with each other for a while. So for me, that was the difficult part. um, and the biggest thing for anybody going into high school, you will see a lot of talent. There's going to be kids that really shine, and the heart and you've got to really focus on yourself because sometimes that can be intimidating. Seeing people be really good and realizing, oh, I don't think I can get there, but you know it takes time to get there. And know that it's possible for you to always get there. You just have to put in the work.
So, did you make varsity as a freshman?
I didn't. I made the freshman team. I kind of went up the ranks. I played freshman when I was a freshman. I made it to JV sophomore, then varsity on. It for me, I just enjoyed the game so much, regardless of whatever rank, whatever level I played in. I didn't really care much for it. When I was in junior, I really pushed myself to get in the varsity because I wanted to have that play with the kids in the higher level. So I did, and it worked out well. And especially our senior year when we were playing, and we ended up winning the state championship as a team. I mean, there was nothing better than that. So, of course, you want to strive for the higher level, but don't be ashamed to have to play the to lower level when you need to. And at that point, use that to hone your skills and get better, and focus on the following year to get varsity if you need to.
Speaking of that, what year did you win the state championship?
It was 2010. That was
Like
my senior year of high school. Yeah.
senior year? Oh my God, what a way
Yep.
to end it.
Exactly. That was the big thing. And the great thing was there was about 12 seniors on our team. So we've been all playing together. Some of us were playing together since little league, some since middle school. But then we all played together in high school. And I mean, we ended up being the first. It was our first time the high school that were in won the state championship. And the year, I think it was like 30 years in the past where they made it to the state
They
championship, but
didn't win
then they
it.
didn't win. Yeah, but we did end up winning, and we were the first one. So we have like a banner up there at the high school somewhere.
I bet that was a crazy feeling.
It was a pretty nuts feeling.
Did you get massive rings?
We did. I have mine upstairs somewhere. I have to dig it out. But yeah, we did get it. We ended up getting someone to make us rings. So we had the rings have like a big A on them, and then our name and what position we played.
That's awesome. So they had like
Yeah.
custom for everyone.
Yep. Everybody got a custom one.
Wow, that's that's incredible.
It was really cool.
So then it was time for college. You chose Holyoke Community College. That's how you say it, right?
Yes.
Mm. In Massachusetts. Why did you go there, and what was the experience like?
So I went there because So college, of course, is expensive. And Holyoke Community College offered a pretty cheap ride, I guess, for me. And for me, it was really just let me go there, get my prerequisites done, and then transfer to a 4 year school. And I can do that in a much like cheaper route. So I did that, but I knew they had a baseball team. So I couldn't say no. Of course, accepted into it, and um, it was pretty nerve wracking my first year, I will say, in terms of baseball. There was a lot of kids trying out, and it was their record year for kids trying out. So I didn't know how I would um, stand out against all those kids because all those kids were also well, actually, I'm looking at them all. We all played against each other because there were a lot of the talents around us that went to that college. But yeah, it was pretty. I would say it was pretty nerve wracking to begin with.
Mhm. So you played a bunch of positions there too. So that is really the key to making yourself a valuable piece of any team.
Yes, and we go back to that. Being versatile is very important. My coach, who to this day, it was the best experience of baseball I ever had. And it was partially for him because he was such a good coach. But I remember him telling me that at first I didn't really stand out. But as time went by and we were playing the games. It was like the preseason games in the fall just to get ready for the spring season, where he was still cutting people as he went. There were times that we needed players to play a certain position, whether it was catching, pitching, first base, because he didn't have the people that were their primary spots. And so I said, hey, I can do that. If you need me here, I can do that. And one time he had asked me, can you catch? I was like, yeah. He's like, do you have a cup? And I didn't have a cup, but I put myself out there and said, yes, I have a cup. So I ended up catching. And then after that experience, he pulled me aside. He goes, knowing that you can play all these positions um, is a huge asset. And he officially told me that I made the team.
Right then and there.
Yeah, it was almost like the day after. It was like he said, I didn't know what to do with you, but he said last year he had a player that was very similar to me. And he goes, I want you to be that player for me. And he said, I want you to know that you're going to be on the team for next year. So
Wow.
it was big. It was really
Awesome.
big. Huge
Did
sigh
you
of
have like a
relief for me.
party with your family?
It was, I mean, I didn't, but I did go home pretty happy. It was a huge sigh of relief because the hardest thing for me was like going through high school is staying focused and having baseball as a reason to stay focused in school was big, and I had that in high school. So knowing that I had it in college was big for me.
Mhm. So softball began to be a big part of your life. So when did that happen? And when did you move your focus from baseball to softball?
So I started playing softball actually in high school when I was 16. It was just recreation, like it was just for fun, just to kind of mess around with people. It was a fun time. Um,
Fast pitch or slow pitch?
it was slow pitch. It's always been slow pitch. I did play in a fast pitch league one time, actually a couple of times in a tournament. But it wasn't a big thing in Massachusetts. I actually had to go to New York to play in that tournament, so it was a once a year thing I did in terms of fast pitch. But in slow pitch, started in 2008, so just a couple of years before I graduated, and it didn't become it was big for me. Like I would play a couple leagues after high school. I ended up playing like 4 days a week through the summer after high school. um so then it started to pick up, and then I had to shift my focus to make sure that I had my focus for baseball. But after college, knowing that I really wasn't going to be playing as much baseball, I started focusing more on softball. So I found myself playing almost every day in different leagues in the area. And I went to my first World Series, I believe, was a year after I graduated my community college.
Your first softball World Series?
My first softball World Series, yeah.
Wow, where was that?
So that was in the Disney Sports Complex in Orlando, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't think I've been there.
it's a huge complex. There's like God,
Really?
there's like 20 something fields in it. It's also where the Braves have their spring training.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
have
Well, it's in
they have
Florida.
their own. Yeah, exactly. It's a Wild World of Sports or something. Is what it's called.
Okay. Um, so I know there are a lot of similarities between the two sports, but why do you love softball?
It just reminds me of baseball, I guess. There's yeah, of course there's the differences. You know, thing isn't the same. Ball's different, but it gives me that like euphoria that I had when I was playing baseball. Um, it's also a way that I met a lot of friends. In a way, the people that I've met through softball actually like it saved me many times. Especially I had a tough year in 2018, and it was the people that I met during the game, that I met during the league, that really like picked me up. And so if it wasn't for them, I don't know where I'd be right now.
Mhm. I'm really glad you get to be yourself and play where you are accepted. So your team is in the Hotlanta Softball League, which is part of the NAGAAA, which this is a
Yes.
mouthful, the North
Yeah. That's why I
American
have the shirt.
Sand Amateur Athletic Alliance.
Yes, I know, I'm sorry, it's a mouthful.
So what's your team called?
So my team here is called the Headhunters.
Mhm.
And we are in the C division. There are a total of five divisions. There's A through E. This I'm not sure if Hotlanta has an A team. They're very few and far between. You have to be rated like super high. You have to have this massive talent, sponsors, all that stuff. I was like, I don't have that right now. But we are in the C division, which is a very competitive division. I do play in the B division with a B division team, but I am still rated a C player. It's a confusing rating system, but if
So is
you
there like
are
tryouts or
no, so there is they have a day where you can go and like show off your talents, and based on your talents, they will put you in a division. So if you are just a beginner, have never played softball in your life, you most likely start in the E division, and as your skills grow, you go up divisions until you get to um, whatever division you cap out at. Um, and then you get put on a team. Most of the time there's like a draw for players, and that's how it works.
like a draft?
Yeah, it's like a draft.
Mhm. So, how many leagues are in the NAGAAA?
So there's a lot. There's members. So in the website, there's member cities. They're called member cities, and each city has a league. Um, so you have Atlanta has one, Houston, Texas, Dallas, Texas, Portland, Oregon. I mean, they span a lot of states. Not every state has one, but they span a lot of them. I did play in the Houston League when I lived there. Obviously Atlanta, and I also played in the Boston League when I was living there as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When did you start this? Like right out of college?
So this league I started playing in 2019. So it wasn't it was like 4 or 5 years ago. No, sorry, it was 2018 when I started playing in this league. Um, it was actually the same year that I came out. So that's when I started, because I actually didn't know that this was a real thing. I didn't know that the league existed. Um, but it was great after I came out, knowing that something like this is around was big and really helpful for me.
Mhm. So, what's the biggest thing you've learned from playing in this league?
I've learned that um, the talent level in this league, God, it's big, and you know, I hate to, when I was younger and like in high school and all that, people have their stigmas about being gay and playing sports. And I hate to say I like fell into it, right? That's part of the reason it was hard for me to come out because I didn't want people to have to like stigmatize me. But God, it really does not matter because there are some people in this league that are just amazing players. And so that's one of the main things I've learned when I first started playing. And it just goes to show you that it's not about any of that outside stuff. It's about the player and how good they are.
And the fact that there's all these teams and all these divisions and all these leagues in this entire NAG AAA is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot bigger than I would have ever thought. And they have their own World Series, and me and my partner are going to it. We go to it every year. It's a huge World Series. It's bigger than any of the ones I've ever been to.
That is crazy. Where's it gonna be?
So this year it's in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It changes every year. Um, about once every 5 years, it always goes to Columbus, Ohio, and the reason for it is because Columbus hosts the best venue for us. There's about 20 fields in this location. I think it's something like that, and they're all turf. Um, and the city loves it when we come because we
Mhm.
we bring a huge crowd.
So do they go into like major league fields or like are there certain like softball fields?
I don't think we go into any of the major league fields. It's all softball fields that they've created. As in Columbus, it's just a location that this it just happens to have a location with many fields, and that's why they like using it. It's about 31 fields. Yeah.
Wow. And last one before we get to the final questions, Anthony, I have this question where I ask my guests, what would you tell your 13-year-old self if you could?
Oh wow. um, the biggest thing I would say to my 13-year-old self is don't be afraid. Um, you know, I had a lot of fear growing up. Um, you know, the stigmatisms, the stereotypes. What would people think of me um when I was battling this inner self? And it wasn't until like I had this I lost, so I don't want to get dark, but like I did lose my partner in 2018, which is what allowed me to um come out. Like he battled cancer for less than a year and passed away. But it wasn't until that time where I said, nothing else matters. And if I could just take that energy, that what I gained at that moment, and throw it back, 10 years ago, oh, I wish I could.
I'm sorry
Um,
for your loss.
Thank you. But again, it allowed me to realize nothing else matters except your happiness. And so if I could take that and give it to 13 me, I think I would have been almost a completely different person. um, in a good way.
Hopefully not baseball wise.
Not baseball wise. I think my talent would still be there.
Mhm. So thank you for that. Anthony, I love hearing it, but now it's time to wrap up. We've made it to the final segment, the not so rapid fire questions. You can answer as much or as little info as you want. You ready?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Mhm. So who's your favorite baseball player to watch when you were growing up?
David Ortiz.
Did you ever get to meet him?
No, I did. I only saw him from afar, but I realized he was a big guy, and I shared the same last name.
What is one thing you have to do when you're traveling around the country playing?
Make sure I pack enough. Sometimes I don't pack enough.
Because you could be there for a long time.
Yeah, and realizing, and a lot of ibuprofen because you realize when you play as much as you can, you wear yourself out pretty
Mhm.
good.
Is it more fun to play with English speaking players or Hispanics?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Is it more fun to play with English speaking players or Hispanics?
Both. I grew up playing with both English and Spanish players, and um There's funny things that Spanish players say, but I couldn't tell you which one's more fun.
What's your favorite cereal?
Frosted Flakes.
Frosted Flakes. I had Frosted Flakes this morning.
There you go.
That's pretty good.
Hmm.
So when did you get into the medical field?
I started the medical field in 2018. I started as a patient care coordinator and then moved my way into the ER and don't ever want to leave the ER now.
Mm-hmm. So do you miss playing baseball?
Yes, I do. I always miss playing it. Every time I hold the ball, I'm like, wow, I wish I was on the mound right now, or I wish I was catching. I
If
do
you
miss playing.
if you had a chance to go back 6 years, would you do it?
Oh yeah, just to play ball? Yeah.
Mm. My mom always wants to know, do you have any game day or at-bat superstitions?
Don't cross the bats, which I think is pretty
We do that.
yeah, don't cross the bats. And then every time I go up to bat, I always have to hit the plate with the bat one
Oh,
time.
I do that
It's the
too.
thing. It's the thing I always do. But yeah, those are my only kind of two big things I always look for.
Mhm. Do you have to identify as gay to play in your softball league?
You don't have to. We accept anybody. So it's not
My
it's
dad's like,
if you're gonna
my dad's like, yes, I can play.
yeah. Yeah, of course you can play. You really just have to be an ally, and just enjoy your time. I mean, you're gonna see a lot of people. It's very colorful, but it's always a lot of fun. We have a lot of players that don't identify as gay. So of course you don't have to identify as gay to play with us.
My dad's very happy now.
Come play.
And last one, what is your favorite baseball movie of all time?
Ooh, probably rookie of the year.
Rookie of the Year?
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard, but do you relate to that movie at all?
I guess in a way I do. You know, you're just that when I first started playing, some of the coaches said I just stood out, and I just didn't know I had the talent. I thought like when the tryouts came, I didn't think I did very well, but I the coach that first picked me up was like, "Oh yeah, I want him right away," and he ended up being one of my favorite coaches and actually a great family member to me.
Anthony Ortiz, thank you so much. That was awesome. Did you have fun? Or do you have anything else you want to add or ask?
No, I had a great time. Thank you for having me, and thank you for getting our league out there for other people to know it's around if they want to play with us.
Mhm. Thanks again. For more information about the North American Gay Amateur Athletic Alliance, please visit nagaaa softball.org. And you can help my show by subscribing to Baseball Podcasts Are Fun on YouTube, Spotify, and Instagram, and my website, baseballpodcastarsfun.com. Please check back next week for an all-new guest. Until then, that was Anthony Ortiz. I am Grayson Knight, and this is Baseball Podcasts Are Fun. Don't forget to swing for the fences. See ya!